Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Karen Ponetz, mi pronombre es ella y sirvo con gratitud como directora del aprendizaje de por vida. Good morning. My name is Karen Polnitz. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I serve gratefully as Director of Lifelong Learning. I am happy to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California. There is still time for those of us on our virtual campus to invite a friend into the live stream, or for those of us who are on Facebook to share this live stream with all your Facebook friends. Welcome to everyone on our virtual church campus. Welcome to everyone on our Alluvial Avenue church campus. Welcome to everyone watching the service later on Facebook or YouTube. We are one congregation in many places. Our monthly worship theme for February is the Path of Love. Today, our guest speaker, the Honorable Ana de Alba, will explore love through mentorship. We acknowledge that our Alluvial Avenue church campus sits within the traditional homelands of the Yokuts people, who are the past, present, and future stewards of this land. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we welcome everyone, and you are welcome here no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. You are welcome no matter your disabilities, the amount of money in your bank account, your level of education, or your neurodiversity. You are welcome if you are lesbian, gay, bi, trans, non-binary, or gender fluid. You are welcome with or without documentation. In the words of Reverend Joan Javier Duval, whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week, or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth, you are beloved, and you are welcome here. Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful, you are beloved, and you are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. If you are on our virtual church campus and want a joy, sorrow, concern, or gratitude included in today's service, just text them to us at 559-209-4977. That's 559-209-4977. You can also type them into the chat box. Please do it right now so we have time to gather them to share later in the service. Be sure to text your name as well so we know who you are. Now, may we, in the chat box, in person, or in the silence of your heart, take a moment to say buenos dias and greet one another.
We have so many nonconformists here, they refuse to sit. Buenos dias, mi nombre es Timoteo, and my pronouns are he, him. I serve gratefully as minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. On this Super Bowl Sunday, I am here to testify that you are super. Let's allow this ancient sound of the tingsha to carry us to that place where our hearts open, our spirits lift, and we prepare for the gift of music.
Guess I wasn't the best one to ask. Me, myself, with my face pressed up against love's glass, to say the shiny toy I've been hoping for, the one I never can afford. The wide world spins and spits turmoil, and the nations toil for peace. Paws of fear upon your chest, only love can soothe that beast. And my words are paper tigers, no match for the predators of pain inside her. I say love will come to you, hoping just because I spoke the words that they're true. 'Cause if I'd offered up a crystal ball to look through, where there's now one, there will be two. I was born under the sign of Cancer. Love will come to you. Like brushing cloth, I smooth the wrinkles for an answer. Love will come, and I close my eyes and wish you fine, even though I know you're not this time. And I say love will come to you, hoping just because I spoke the words that they're true. As if I offered up a crystal ball to look through, where there's now one, there will be two. Dodging your memories in a field of knives, always on the outside looking in on others' lives. And I say love will come to you, hoping just because I spoke the words that they're true. Crystal ball to look through, where there's now one, there will be two. And I wish her insight to battle love's blindness, strength from the milk of human kindness, a safe place for all the pieces that scattered. Learn to pretend there's more than love that matters.
Good morning. My name is Denise Chandra. I'm the founder of the Naroma Walker Youth Library and remain active as one of its librarians. If you have a candle or chalice with you on our virtual campus, please bring it close as we'll be lighting it soon. On behalf of the Naroma Walker Youth Library Committee, I am lighting the chalice in memory and in honor of Naroma Walker. She was born February 4th, 1918, and died March 6, 1994, of Alzheimer's disease. She was the director of religious education at this church in the 1980s. She loved children and was dearly loved by them. She also loved children's literature and loved to read to children. It is for these reasons that the youth library at this church was named in her honor, the Naroma Walker Youth Library. It was dedicated September 28, 1997. Joyce Huggins, a longtime member of this church, thought very highly of Naroma. Dr. Huggins was the coordinator of the early childhood education program at Fresno State, and she is the one who hired Naroma as a teacher in the campus children's center when Naroma came looking for a job following the death of her husband. Naroma would eventually rise to the position of director of the center. Joyce says that Naroma was, and I quote, reassuring with the children and had a very calming effect on them. That is the library's namesake, a loving, reassuring person who loved children's literature and reading to children. I invite you to light your chalice or candle at home as Tim lights the chalice on our Alluvial campus. In the warmth of these flames, let us rise in body or spirit and join in singing our song of praise, Love Will Guide Us.
As we say together our mission. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated. So I invite us to take a nice, deep, centering breath in, imagining that we are breathing in peace. We hold a moment. We breathe out love. take a breath in, breathing in peace. We hold the moment. We breathe out love. One last time together, let's take a breath in, imagining we're breathing in peace, the peace that your heart craves. We transform that into love. We breathe out love. So here we are, dear ones, together, breathing, having had the gift of the last week of our living. And we are all too aware that so many around this world did not have the gift of the last 7 days. And so as we continue to breathe, just imagine that your breath is carrying you back over the events of the last week, those joys and sorrows, concerns and gratitudes that you experienced or felt. And a question. In the past week, where did you witness tenderness or caring? I think especially during weeks that are challenging and difficult because of everything we see and hear in the headlines, remembering that there is tenderness and caring, and that we, by the very nature of us being human, are called to be part of that tenderness and caring. And so with tenderness and caring, we hold all that is in our hearts. I'm hopeful that one of the ushers will bring our cards of joy, sorrow, gratitude, and concerns, both from our virtual campus. We want to make sure that we've checked with Patty on the virtual campus, and also here on our Alluvial Avenue campus. This is some of what is alive, either by text in our chat box or written on the card on the small table as you entered the church. Robbie B. is feeling grateful and joyful that to be back after many moons have passed. Missed everyone, and my love for this place stays strong. I think about this place because I'm fighting wildfires. I love you. It's from Robbie B. Tara is feeling a gratitude, grateful for finding this church and being able to join via the virtual campus when life gets busy. We're glad, Tara, that you did find this place. Claire had a stressful week and could use some positive thoughts, sending that your way. Adeline M., who serves gratefully as our board's esteemed president, has a joy. My cousin is in labor with her first baby today. My family is very excited for the arrival of this bundle of joy. If the baby is born today, it will be extra special because today is also my mom's birthday. Beautiful. And I am aware that with us today is Dominic, who is grieving the loss of his beloved Cleo. This is the first time he's been back among us since that unexpected and tragic loss. And so, Dominic, we hold you in love, we hold you in light as you grieve and remember the beautiful memories of your beautiful wife and partner in life's adventures, Cleo. We also want to acknowledge that we continue the celebration of Black History Month, and especially today, we lift up the life of Fanny Barrier Williams, a great Unitarian who was born on this day in February 12th in 1855. As detailed on harvardsquarelibrary.com, Fanny Barrier Williams was a Black teacher, a social activist, a lecturer, and journalist who worked fiercely for social justice, civil liberties, education, and employment opportunities, especially for Black women. At the end of the Civil War, she taught in the Deep South in schools that were being opened for formerly enslaved persons. Fanny Barrier Williams later began studies at the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston, but was asked to leave after several Southern students objected to a black person in the classroom. She was nationally known and celebrated as a speaker, and is perhaps most lauded for her address at the World's Parliament of Religions, where Fanny Barrier Williams offered a classic speech entitled, "What Can Religion Further Do to Advance the Condition of the American Negro?" in which she confronted religion head-on and asked, how can religious principles speak out against racism and other injustices in the country? Lifting up the life of one of our own, Fanny Barrier Williams. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention that we grieve the loss of life and the mass destruction caused by the earthquake in Syria and Turkey. Now over 30,000 dead and so many displaced. If you have the means, I encourage you to make a contribution to any of the organizations that are providing aid in this tragic, tragic time. Lastly, we remember our beloveds, those unable to be with us because of illness or mobility issues, lifting up Tony E., who is back in Fresno after many months in the Bay Area, Margaret H., Bev F., Edith H., Glenda R., and Pat M. And so, for everything that has been shared, for everything that you're holding in the quiet gentleness of your own heart, and for all those who on this day have no one to remember them, no one to speak their name with tenderness or care, we light our candle of community. We light a second candle, as is our custom, for all those in the world who have lost their lives during this pandemic. 6.9 million fellow citizens of this world no longer with us. And so in the light of our candles, our call to meditation, there are words that we haven't sung for quite a while, actually, so we're going to refamiliarize ourselves with them. We're going to hear first the melody on piano with Leslie, and then Tina will sing it once, and then together we will sing 3 times, Blessed Unrest.
Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide.
proud to be a multiracial person of Chinese descent with strong Confucian values that she practiced within her own Unitarian Universalist faith. Let us pray. Spirit of life, source of all, fuente de amor. As we move through life, finding ourselves always newly wise and newly foolish, we ask that our mistakes be small and not hurtful. We ask that as we gain experience, we do not forget our innocence, for they are both part of the whole. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
The Imprint of Love by Laura Horton Ludwig. As people of faith, we seek to live in a spirit of love, a spirit of community, justice, and peace. And yet, in so many corners of the world, both far and near, we see divisiveness and hate. If we look deep within ourselves, Perhaps we will even find those shadow energies there too. We struggle to respond to the outer world and our inner dramas in ways that manifest love. At times, we may fear that love will not be strong enough. At times, we may question whether love really is at the root of all things in this world with so much struggle and suffering and discord. And yet, we are not without hope. Our struggles and our questions testify to our longing for peace, for love. Our very longings are born out of that mystery we dare to address as spirit of life and love. In the stillness and silence of our own heart, we read the imprint of love, created not by our own will, but planted there for us to discover. By what or whom we cannot know. And yet it is there, a clue, a talisman, a beacon, a light within. May it keep hope alive even as we dwell in mystery. May it guide us all as we seek to act wisely and well. May it help us to be vessels of compassion for one another and for our world.
I invite us to join our voices together as we sing, "Love Will Build a Bridge." Please rise and bow to your spirit.
It's time. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I'd gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet to share with you the last bite of bread I had to eat. I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart could understand that love and only love can heal this broken land. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Don't you think love can build a bridge? think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Please be seated. Our special guest speaker is the Honorable Ana de Alba, Judge of the United States District Court for the Eastern District of California. Judge de Alba was born in the Central Valley and is a proud daughter of Mexican immigrant farm workers. As a young child, she worked in the fields alongside her parents and her 3 brothers. In introducing her to the Senate Judiciary Committee, U.S. Senator Alex Padilla of California said, and I quote, "Judge de Alba brings a lifelong commitment to advancing justice in California's Central Valley," noting that she watched her family struggle with unfair treatment as they worked together in some of the hardest jobs in the world. Judge de Alba decided that one day she would become a lawyer to help families like her own. Judge de Alba earned her law degree from UC Berkeley in 2007. Prior to her ascension to the bench, Judge de Alba worked with the ACLU, yay, ACLU, on their immigrant rights project in San Francisco, and then as an attorney in Fresno. In October of 2018, Judge de Alba was appointed judge of the Fresno County Superior Court. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, Judge de Alba has been active in legal programs for the disadvantaged, founded a workers' rights clinic, and served as board member of the Central Valley Access to Justice Coalition, Legal Aid at Work, and Rape Counseling Services of Fresno, among other groups. In 2022, President Joe Biden nominated Judge de Alba to serve as a United States District Judge of the United States District Court for the Eastern District of California. Judge de Alba was confirmed by the U.S. Senate and sworn in on a very happy day for her and her family, July 8th, 2022. A trailblazer, Judge de Alba is the first Latina to serve on California's Eastern District Court. It is a true honor to welcome Judge Ana de Alba to our pulpit.
Thank you, everyone. So, first of all, good morning. It is such an honor to get to speak with you today. When I sought guidance regarding the content of my address, I was given the opportunity to speak on an array of topics, including my path to the judiciary and showing love through mentorship. Because both topics are so intertwined, I will weave them throughout my story. As you heard the Reverend state, I grew up in the small town of Dos Palos, the daughter of Mexican immigrant farm workers. My 3 older brothers and I spent many of our childhood summers toiling alongside our parents in the fields of California's Central Valley. I fondly remember those summer mornings, waking to the smell of my mother's handmade tortillas warming on the comal, and of being up so early that there was still a bit of a chill to the otherwise suffocating Central Valley heat. Trying to support a family of 6 while working under these conditions did not lend itself to living the American dream. The 6 of us lived in a 500 square foot, 2-bedroom home that lacked insulation, centralized heating and air conditioning, and whose plumbing was questionable at best. As the youngest sibling and only girl, I slept in a sleeping bag on the living room floor until the age of 15. This arrangement drove us to work harder and save more, so that by the time I was in the 9th grade, we had saved enough money to buy a small plot of land, and the 6 of us spent 9 months working with a contractor to build our own home. Despite this less than ideal situation, our mother worked hard to ensure that she raised her children to be responsible, well-educated adults. My mother grew up the second eldest of 18 to poor, uneducated parents in Mexico, only received a second-grade education there herself, and worked low-wage jobs throughout our childhood so that we could eat. She taught her children to treat everyone with respect, work hard, not complain, learn from all experiences, and be grateful for all opportunities. She expected a lot from the four of us, and thanks to my oldest brother Fernando's guidance, we were all able to exceed her expectations. We are the product of a proud mother who did not allow us to throw ourselves pity parties. She was famous for asking, "Esto es para llorar?" Is this worth crying over? And spoiler alert, nothing ever was. Because she reminded us that we were lucky to be in a country that gave us a free education and an opportunity to make something of ourselves. She was a resilient mother who went against her husband's machismo and allowed each of her children to move away to attend college when the norm would have been to keep us at home so that we could work and financially contribute to the family. A formidable woman who again went against her husband by earning her own junior college degree with highest honors, while in her 50s and after her children attended college when she was too injured to continue working in the fields. A resourceful mother who helped her children in any way she could. And I have a very moving example of this. When I was a senior in high school, I applied to Harvard University. It was a long shot, but Harvard had always been my dream. Hugo Morales, a Harvard alum, called me on behalf of the university and wanted to schedule an interview. After talking it over with my brother Fernando, we decided that it would be best that I wear a suit. Unfortunately, upon realizing the cost of said suits, I became demoralized. We simply could not afford it. Undeterred, my mother bought me a suit at the Remate, which is the flea market, in Merced, and tailored it to look like it had come from the department store. Although Harvard did not admit me, I've never forgotten my mother's loving gesture. As I tried it on, the look of pride was evident in her eyes. I remember telling her that I'd hoped to become an attorney one day so that I could afford to have a closet filled with suits that she would not have to tailor for me. Her responses stayed with me and shaped me more than she probably has ever realized. She said, "Todo se puede si uno se pone a trabajar." Everything is possible so long as you're willing to put in the work. It is thanks to her constant vigilance that all of her children graduated from college and that I was admitted to UC Berkeley upon graduating from Dos Palos High School. And while at Berkeley, I went to Berkeley both undergrad and law school. I spent my undergraduate career working anywhere between 15 to 30 hours per week to try to make ends meet. I was still able to graduate with highest honors and was subsequently admitted to Berkeley Law. I count myself as extremely fortunate to have attended UC Berkeley as both an undergraduate and law student, even though I found it incredibly isolating. Many of my peers were not the first in their families to go to law school. Most of my classmates had never experienced what it was like to grow up teetering on the edge of poverty, to have to work, really work, at age 6, to witness their mother's harassment and humiliation at the hands of their supervisors, and to avoid the unwanted hands of grown men pawing at them in the workplace while they were still in elementary school. Additionally, many of my classmates had parents, siblings, or friends that were already in the legal profession and could provide some guidance. I vividly recall a student in my legal writing class during the first semester of my 1L year telling me that she sent her brief to her father, an attorney, to review before turning it in. I'm not proud to admit this, but I could not help but feel annoyed and frankly jealous that she had a father who could guide her while my own could barely read. I'd worked so hard to get to Berkeley, and when things like this happened, it felt unfair and that I would never be on the same footing as the other students. Unlike my peers, I had no one to offer me their perspective on my written work, guide me as to what type of law to practice or where to work. After countless events where I experienced these feelings of isolation, I soon realized that by looking at everything I felt my upbringing lacked to prepare me to work as an attorney, I was selling my parents and my own experiences short. When I made that transition in my thinking, I saw, and I hope that you too will see, how much someone with my non-traditional background has to offer the legal profession. First, I knew how to work very hard without complaint. My parents were field workers. I spent my childhood working with them and my brothers to make ends meet. In the summers, we were up before dawn and worked until late in the afternoons. When there was no field work, we often helped our father cater for weddings and quinceañeras. And for me, because I was a bit more outgoing and confident, I worked after school at an insurance agency, then at a local hospital to save money for college. I knew how to advocate. My parents did not speak English throughout my childhood, so my brothers and I often found ourselves translating for them. Because I was very talkative and only girl, this task landed on me most often. I found myself accompanying my mother to doctor appointments, and if the doctor was dismissive, I found myself being insistent that he take her complaint seriously, even when she didn't want to be a bother. I knew what it was like to be underestimated. My small high school did not offer any advanced placement courses. So when I was 16, I wanted to attend night classes at the local junior college to be a competitive candidate for admission at a top university. Both counselors at my high school and the junior college told me that it would be too hard and that I would likely get discouraged, while simultaneously encouraging one of my best friends, who happened to be the daughter of wealthy, well-educated parents, to take classes so that she could have a better chance of getting admitted to Stanford. I had to bring my mother in and have her sit next to me while I demanded the counselor give me the correct forms to fill out. Thereafter, I drove myself one town over 1 or 2 evenings per week to take night classes. I knew how to make hard concepts approachable. My father had a middle school level education in Mexico, but had many learning difficulties, as his reading and writing level is that of a 3rd grader. My mother, although much more intellectually adept, received only a 2nd grade level education in Mexico. As such, whenever I accompanied them to the doctor or we made major purchases, I had to be able to explain to them what we were doing in Spanish and even translate contracts for them in Spanish. I knew the importance of honesty. When you live hand to mouth, you learn to value everything that you have earned. We were no different. My parents instilled honesty in each of their children as a core value. This extended to all aspects of our lives, including well into adulthood. As an attorney, being honest is at the very heart of our profession. You must be honest with your clients, the court, and opposing counsel at all times if you wish to have any credibility. I knew the importance of community. We may not have had a lot, but what we did have, we gladly shared with others. It may have been donating to help pay for funeral expenses, being padrinos at a wedding, or selling tamales to raise money for a field trip. No matter what, we helped one another. I knew how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. In addition to field and cannery work, my mother also cleaned houses to make ends meet when we were younger. It is hard work, especially when the homeowners follow you around from room to room. During school breaks, I would accompany my mother to clean these houses and would complain to her about how uncomfortable it was to be followed around as the homeowners assumed that we were going to steal something. She told me to learn to ignore them and keep my head focused on the job at hand. Once I started practicing law, I began to realize that these principles that my parents and my position in life had instilled in me were exactly what one needs to be successful in the legal profession. Working hard without complaint meant that I soon earned the respect of senior partners and had them asking me to work on key cases at the firm. It also meant that I caught the eye of those helping vet judicial candidates for Governor Brown and President Biden. Serving as my family's advocate trained me to do the same for my clients, to not back down when more experienced opposing counsel try to bully me, and to be dogged in my representation. Being underestimated because of my age and gender made me prepare even more diligently so that I could secure victories for my otherwise marginalized clients. Making difficult concepts approachable was at the very backbone of what made me a good lawyer. I represented low-wage workers with minimal to no formal education and had to explain complex legal issues to them about their cases in a way that they understood. My ability to do that meant that they trusted me and knew that I worked in their best interest. Knowing the importance of community translated to providing 250 to 300 hours of pro bono work annually. I knew a little guidance from an attorney could change someone's life, so I was constantly meeting with individuals to explain their rights, inform them about next steps in their cases, and when necessary, represent them at their administrative hearings. In addition to helping them with their legal issues, I also often met their children, encouraged them to stay in school, and served as an example of someone who made it. These families thanked me with flowers, hugs, freshly harvested fruits and vegetables, and homemade meals. Being able to feel comfortable in the uncomfortable was no more important than during my recent confirmation hearing. Perhaps saying I felt comfortable sitting before the Committee on the Judiciary is a bit of an overstatement, but I can affirmatively state that what got me through it was remembering where I came from and what we had overcome to be there. I remembered the many indignities my mother suffered as a low-wage immigrant worker. I remembered my brothers having to overcome their shyness and feel comfortable speaking up in class. I remembered experiencing harassment and what felt like a constant academic disadvantage. I knew that I belonged up there with the other nominees and that my voice was equally important and needed to be heard. As both an attorney and judge, I have had the opportunity to see how important mentorship is for improving our system of justice. As someone who had no connections in this profession, who had parents with elementary school level educations, and who was the first in her family to get a graduate degree, I know the hurdles that many first-generation attorneys face. I count myself extremely fortunate to have found my formal law firm. From the very beginning, some of the most senior shareholders took notice of my willingness to work long hours without complaint to earn the opportunity to litigate. Working hard and being prepared meant I often spent nights and weekends diving deeply into statutes, practice guides, and treatises on whatever topics my cases covered. As a result, I earned a reputation as a capable, steadfast, and honest adversary who was reasonable and willing to come to the table to reach an equitable resolution. It proved to me once again that my mother was right. Everything is possible so long as you're willing to put in the work. Judges who took notice of my work ethic and work product encouraged me at age 38, with only 10 years of experience, to submit an application for the Fresno Superior Court. It was thanks to their guidance and mentorship that I did so and became a Superior Court judge in 2018. Always remembering the importance of that mentorship had in my life, as a state court judge, I was on committees whose goals was to increase the diversity of perspectives on the bench by creating mentorship programs to encourage attorneys from non-traditional backgrounds and practice areas to apply to become judges. In late 2020, a federal judge approached and asked me to consider applying for the district judge position in California's Eastern District. He mentored me throughout the entire process, and I am proud to say that in July of 2022, I was very privileged to have been confirmed as the first Latina judge in the Eastern District of California. Forever the believer in mentorship, during my investiture just last week on February 3rd, I was fortunate to have over 300 people in attendance to watch me take my federal oath. Because I adamantly believe that if we want to improve our system of justice, we need to mentor our lawyers, I invited attorneys and judges with all levels of life and work experiences. I also invited numerous individuals whom I have mentored as they find their way as practicing attorneys and aspiring bench officers. At my investiture, I asked those most seasoned attorneys and bench officers to make a point to meet and exchange contact information with these newer attorneys or those interested in becoming judges. Perhaps agree to take them to coffee or lunch. I wanted them to realize that the more we get to know one another, the more we will understand that although our individual struggles may vary, our commitment to justice does not. If we are willing to open ourselves up to questions, we can become impromptu mentors and show these new attorneys and aspiring bench officers that they are not alone, that this too shall pass, and perhaps most importantly, that their voice is welcomed and needed in this profession. In closing, I would like to acknowledge the huge impact that my mentors have had in my life. My mother's words, "Everything is possible if one is willing to put in the work," have been the catalyst for where I find myself now. My willingness to work hard made others interested in mentoring me because, and I quote, "I had potential." It is my hope that my story has resonated with you and that it will encourage you to stop and think about how you can help guide others in your respective professions. You never know how your words may change someone else's life. Thank you.
Leslie at the piano, Tina on vocals. On the second Sunday of each month, we hold a special offering for a social justice group, organization, or individual that is in alignment with our cherished Unitarian Universalist values. This Sunday, we are pleased to welcome Tamara Pittman, CEO and founder of Sonia Jean Community Empowerment Foundation. Please welcome to our pulpit, Tamara.
Good morning. Happy Black History Month. I am here, I was invited to a gun violence event. And when I went, I was like, I don't got no place there. You know, I was discouraged, I didn't want to go. Then my husband was like, get up, get dressed, we're gonna go. I'm like, I can't go, I got the baby. He like, no, we're gonna go. We took the baby, and as I'm there, I'm like, I don't wanna speak. But something was telling me to just tell my story. Last year in August, I came to someone and I said, you know what? I know how I feel to struggle to get kids school clothes. Let me come up with something to buy children clothes for school. They were like, you're not gonna be able to do that. People don't give money to nobody. I said, I'm gonna raise it then. We did car washes, we sold dinners, we got donations, and me and my family, my children and my husband raised over $11,000 to buy brand new clothes, shoes, and underclothes for children in our community. We serviced 152 children. They were able to come and get their hair did, haircuts, and brand new clothes for school. after that, something just put a fire in me to keep going. They said, this is something that people don't do. Keep going, don't stop. And I was like, well, what do I do now? They was like, get a 501c3. I was like, what is that? Where do I start? They're like, we're gonna help you. November 2022, I did a class. Advanced Peace paid for my 501c3. In December of 2022, it was finalized. And so I am now a 501c3 holder and growing business, and I am happy and proud to say that without the community, none of it would have been possible. And I am honored to be here because when I got an email, I was like, me? Who even told them about me? I never even knew of this church. I didn't know, so I said, who? Jim and Barbara? I'm like, no. They're like, it was someone at the gun violence thing, they recommended you. And I was like, me? And it was just a blessing. And I was like, I don't know who to thank. I just thank everybody because I'm like, I don't know who seen me or who was watching me or who had hope in me, but they did. And Christmas, Building Healthy Communities, somebody reached out to them and they donated $10,000 to me to do a Christmas event. And I was able to give gifts and toys and food to children in our community again from the help of God sending them my way. Because I don't know, they just called me like, hey, we heard about you, can you meet with me? And the lady literally met me at the store and I'm like, are you for real? She's like, yeah, come on, let's go. I'm like, okay, well, come on, let's go. So it's just crazy. You don't know, you don't know who's watching, you don't know who's looking out for you. And it's always people you don't know. It's always people who you never met in your life that put that spark under you and that fire into you. And that's where the love come in at. And he keeps mentioning it, and I'm like, no, it's serious, and it's realer than people think because you don't know until it happens to you. I never in my life would have thought I would even be standing here right now. I come from a long background of no's, you can't do that, you're never gonna be good enough, people don't do that for you, to me standing here now with everything that I have coming to me this year. I don't know, but I'm ready for it. Thank you.
I can't help but think of Judge D'Alba's mom's words, with hard work, anything is possible. In that spirit and in the spirit of giving, let's join our voices in our call to offering, which is on the screen. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Here is a slide showing how you can make a financial contribution right now in support of the Sonia Jean Community Empowerment Foundation. You can also, on our Alluvial Avenue campus, drop checks, cash, and diamonds in the baskets on your way out the door. And anybody who has a smartphone with them right now, both on Alluvial Ave and on our virtual campus, you can make a contribution with Cash App. Make that to $UU Fresno. That's $UU Fresno. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
Hello again. Soy Karen Polnitz, Directora del Aprendizaje de Por Vida. I'm Karen Polnitz, Director of Lifelong Learning. I am deeply grateful to be with our UU Fresno congregation this morning. What a remarkable place that opens its doors with loving arms to anyone seeking sanctuary and spirit. What a beautiful people who I have seen give so much in the service of love to others, myself and my family included. Across time and space, These complex years have taught us new ways of being together. Despite shifts, changes, and challenges, we have remained connected, forging new paths of belonging and growing this sacred community, one spirit and one breath at a time. As we prepare to end our service and enter into our afternoon, please join us in our chalice extinguishing words as you extinguish your chalice or candle at home. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. Tim, I expect you have a few reminders for us.
Absolutely, I have a few reminders. First, on exiting the sanctuary, we're going to allow our socially distanced folks to head out through those doors first, and the rest of you are welcome to follow. Outside will be coffee hour. We have a welcome table with question and answer from our board. Next slide there, I think, Ian. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Question and answer with our member of our board. So any questions you have at all outside. On your way out of the Alluvial Avenue Sanctuary, our wonderful ushers are going to be there handing you strips of paper to bring to next week's food offering for the families in Valley Children's Hospital and families in the El Dorado Park neighborhood. Items to bring include 1-pound bags of white rice, microwavable soups and meals, fruit cups, granola bars, peanut butter, and jelly. Thank you in advance for saying yes to that invitation. I want to remind all of us that our auction is still continuing online until 4 p.m. today, so there's still a chance to bid often and bid high, and you can find the connection to that online auction through our website. Also want to remind you, coming up on Saturday will be our second grounds cleanup day at 9 a.m. It's a simple, quick way for all of us to be of service to this congregation, just helping pick some weeds, trim some branches. Even if you can come for 30 minutes, we would really appreciate it. That's next Saturday. Let's see, what else am I supposed to remind you of? That, coming up next Sunday, we will kick off our annual pledge drive. Our theme for this year is Connected in Community, Care, Love, Give. And I have to say, I just love our graphic for this year. It's magnificent. And then Karen wanted me to invite you on Friday, February 25th at 6 p.m. for some community fun during our Mardi Gras masquerade. There'll be refreshments, a mask decorating station, and lots of dancings. We would appreciate it if you let us know. If you want to come, you can just stop at the Children's Religious Education table on your way out to register. I think that's it, except for our weekly tradition of welcoming folks. If this is your first, second, or third time, we want to appreciate you. You could have been anywhere on what was a glorious, glorious Sunday morning here in Fresno, but you chose to be with us, and we are truly grateful. So if this is your first, second, or third time, we'd ask you to identify yourselves in the chat box and here on Alluvial Ave. If you'd be willing to stand for just a moment, we won't leave you standing alone for long. Welcome, 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 welcome. Wow, welcome, welcome, welcome. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them for our closing words and then our sung benediction. If you came in a pod, feel free to join hands. If you're here by yourself, welcome, and just place your hands over your precious heart. Our closing words come from Omid Safi, a leading expert on Islamic mysticism. And I have to say, we're probably the only church in Fresno quoting an expert on Islamic mysticism as our closing words. These are those. Go be your best self. Be your beautiful self. Be your luminous self. Be your most generous self. Be your most radically loving self. And when you fall short of that, as we all do, as we all have, bounce back and return again. There is a grace in this returning to your luminous self. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Let's sing. Shalom and assalamu alaikum. And let's offer our appreciation once again to our special guest, Judge De Alba. Enjoy the beautiful day.